right, if you're a Java developer, you know the pain of connecting your app to a database. It can feel like you're writing the same tedious, repetitive code over and over again. Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on Spring Data JPA and show you how it completely changes the game, turning all that boilerplate grind into something that, honestly, feels a lot like magic. Let's dive in.
So first up, let's really set the scene and talk about the problem we're all trying to escape. This is that manual, old-school way of doing things that Java devs have had to put up with for years. You've been there, right? You're handwriting SQL queries, you're juggling database connections, you're wrapping everything in endless exception handling. It's just a mountain of boilerplate that's not only boring to write, but it's also a place where bugs just love to hide. And just look at this code. You know what's missing? Any of your actual business logic. This is all just the plumbing, the nuts and bolts to shuttle data back and forth. It's clunky, it's super easy to make a mistake, and worst of all, it completely pulls your focus away from building the cool features that actually matter. So how do we get out of that mess? Well, the solution comes from a really powerful idea that just completely reframes how we think about databases. Let's get into the core concepts, ORM and JPA. The first piece of this puzzle is ORM, which stands for Object Relational Mapping. The best way to think about it is like a super smart translator. Instead of us having to constantly switch our brains between Java objects and SQL tables, ORM sits in the middle and handles all that translation for us automatically. We just get to keep thinking in Java. Okay, so if ORM is the technique, what in the world is JPA? Think of JPA, the Java Persistence API, as the official rulebook. It's a standard specification that lays out all the guidelines for how ORM should be done in the Java world. It's the blueprint, not the actual engine that does the work. And this is a really, really important distinction to get. JPA is the set of rules, the API. Hibernate is the most famous and widely used tool that actually implements those rules. So when you're using Spring Boot, you're programming against the JPA standard, but the powerhouse engine doing all the heavy lifting under the hood, that's Hibernate. All right, now for the really cool part. Let's see how Spring grabs these amazing concepts and makes them ridiculously easy and, dare I say, fun to use in our projects. This is where the magic really starts to happen. I mean, just look at this. With just 2 little lines in a config file, we can do incredible things. That DDL auto equals update line, that tells Hibernate to literally look at our Java code and automatically update the database schema to match it. No more writing alter table scripts. And show SQL equals true is our little magic window to peek behind the curtain and see the exact SQL it's writing for us. So how do we get this all wired up? It's almost shockingly simple. It boils down to just 2 steps. First, we create something called an entity, which is just a fancy name for a Java class that's going to map to a database table. And second, we create a repository, which is an interface that will handle all our database operations. So here's our student class. See those little things with the @ sign? Those annotations are where we give our instructions. @entity just tells Spring, hey, this class is a database table. @table lets us give it a specific name. And @id with add_generated_valued. That's how we set up our primary key to auto-increment. And that's it. This normal Java class is now tied to a database table. Okay, now for the real jaw-dropper. This is our student repository. Take a good look. Notice anything missing? Yeah, the body of the interface is completely empty. We just declare it, say it extends JPA repository, and tell it 2 things. We want to manage student objects, and their ID is of type long. We literally write 0 implementation code. And this is the incredible payoff. Just by creating that empty interface, Spring Data JPA looks at it and instantly gives us a whole toolkit of powerful, ready-to-go methods for all the basic stuff. Create, read, update, delete. We get save, find all, find by ID, all of it, for free. No more manual SQL for any of this. Okay, that is awesome for all the standard operations. But what happens when you need something more specific, right? What if your app's logic needs a query that's a bit more custom? Don't worry, Spring has you covered there too. You've basically got 2 main options when you need to write your own query. On the left, you've got JPQL. Notice it's querying the student Java class, not the database table. This is cool because it's database independent. But if you need the raw power and specifics of your database, you can flip a switch to native query equals true and just write plain old SQL, like you see on the right. But here's the thing, a lot of the time, you don't even have to do that. Spring Data JPA has this other amazing trick up its sleeve. You can just name a method in a special way. You write find by course, and Spring literally analyzes the method name, understands what you want, and writes the query for you. It is absolutely wild.
So let's just take a breath. We went from that horrible, complex manual JDBC code to this incredibly clean, powerful, and efficient way of working with our data. Let's do a quick recap of the big ideas, and then I'm going to give you a little challenge so you can try this out yourself. So this right here is your cheat sheet. We have ORM, that's the big idea of mapping objects to tables. We have JPA, that's the official rulebook. Hibernate is the tool that does the work. And Entity is our Java class that becomes a table. And the JPRepository is our magic wand that gives us all those free methods.
You know, the best way to really let this sink in is to get your hands dirty. So here's a mini assignment for you. Try to build a simple API for managing students. Follow these steps, create your own entity and repository, and then wire them up to some API endpoints. And for extra credit, add that custom find by course method.
We've seen how Spring Data JPA can just erase an incredible amount of tedious work, freeing you up to focus on what really matters, building awesome features. So the only real question left is, with all this new power and time at your fingertips, what are you going to build first?